My last name, Lenihan, Lenihan, and Eddie. What I have been interested in for quite a number of years is the fairies. So an old man said to me once, and he was a reliable old man, a man who wasn't given over to nonsense. I think I have 150 hours of him on tape. He was an encyclopedia of knowledge about local history and about this kind of thing. And he said to me once, he said, look, the fairies are like us. He said, the person sitting next to you could be one of them, and you wouldn't know it. And that's a frightening thought. They can take any shape they like. And one of their favourite shapes, according to Irish tradition, is the black dog. He said, that's where, on that road bridge, the black dog used to be seen. He was a monster. He was as big as a horse. And he'd plonk himself there on his backside, on the bridge, and his backside out to the wall on either side. And fellas coming back at night from the pub, or from card playing, or from visiting their neighbours, Christ, as soon as they come to this monster, what were you going to do? Ask him, hello, little doggy, can I pass you by? Jesus, I mean, they were frightened out of their wits of him. And so they were having to go 2 or 3 miles out of their way by other roads, or more dangerously still, cross the river, upstream or downstream, which was okay in the summertime when the river was low, but in the winter time when the river was flooded, you could be drowned. Now, there was a plank there across, but I mean, crossing by a plank on a flooded night, dangerous, dangerous. So eventually they said, look, what do we do about this? Who could help us? And they decided that the obvious man was the priest, the parish priest. So they went to him. And you know the reception they got? A lecture. Why, in the name of God Almighty, don't you stay out of the pubs and you wouldn't be seeing black dog nonsense? Christ, he says, will you go home and have a small bit of sense? And, you know, they still had to travel the road at night. So they were still having to go around. And eventually they sent their wives to the priest. Now, that was different. Because in those days, you might laugh at a man, but women weren't going to the pubs in Ireland. They might be having their little drop at home, but they weren't going to the pubs. And when the women, the wives, started coming to the presbytery, to the priest's house, he began to take notice. And he began to think, maybe there is something in this. So because he said, look, it would do no harm to check it out. So that very night, when the women were gone about their business, he went armed with holy water and his book, prayer book, I presume, came to the bridge, met nothing. But he was a careful kind of a man, and he came the second night, nothing. Third night, nothing. But the 4th day was a Sunday. So he said he'd put an end to this once and for all. So God Almighty, at Mass that Sunday, he preached them a sermon off of the altar, calling them all kinds of superstitious peasants and blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And of course they went out of there feeling like that height. But faith, the dog was still there, and the women were still coming to the priest night after night after night. And he went back the 4th night, nothing. 5th night, just to keep the women quiet at this stage. 6th night, nothing. On the 7th night, didn't he meet the dog? Now, luckily for himself, he had his holy water and his book, and the man that was telling me the story said that the neighbours all around, they had the yelping, they had the screeching 10 times as loud as any ordinary dog. And of course, nobody went out to investigate. They figured out it must be the priest had met the animal. And it was only the following morning, a man going out to collect his cows, to bring them in, to milk them, down near where the stream went into the sea. I won't even call it an estuary because the stream is only about 4 miles long, small. There he found the dog, inside in the water, dead, with its legs up in the air. And of course the news spread. People came from 10 miles around to see this creature. What in God's name was it? Oh yeah, a dog, but the size of a horse. They knew what it was, of course. They knew that this was no ordinary dog. And as the man said, look, he said, my father was there that morning. He saw it with his own 2 eyes. He told me the story. And after a few more days, a high tide came in and washed the dog, or whatever it was, out, and was seen no more. But he says, anybody who'll tell you that these things don't exist doesn't know what he's talking about. All that it means is he's never met them. But anybody who has, I tell you, they have a different idea of the fairies than this little